Have you ever wondered why some men command respect, not just with strength, but with presence? Why do some leaders inspire loyalty that runs deeper than words, while others rule through fear and fall alone? What if I told you the greatest kind of masculine strength doesn't dominate, it builds? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is the place where we unpack the core of what it means to be a man in today's world, without filters, fluff, or apologies. So if you're ready to step deeper into your purpose as a man, hit that subscribe button, tap the bell icon, and stay locked in. You don't want to miss what we're about to explore, because today, we're diving into a truth that echoes through time. Strong men build other men, and if that doesn't sound radical to you, then maybe you haven't truly seen what real brotherhood looks like. Yet. It starts in silence. Not in the loud moments where medals are pinned or fists are raised, but in the quiet sacrifices few ever see. A father teaching his son to stand tall after falling. A soldier pulling his brother from the line of fire. A mentor staying late when he's already tired just to remind a lost young man, you're not alone. Strength isn't just measured by what a man can carry. It's shown in what he chooses to lift in others. But in today's world, masculinity is too often misrepresented. We see the lone wolf, the stoic statue, the hard-nosed man who lets no one in. Independence has become a mask for isolation. But that wasn't always the case. History paints a different picture, one of tribes, of alliances, of forged bonds that turned boys into men and men into legends. Let's go back, way back. In ancient Sparta, boys were taken from their homes at the age of 7, not to be pampered or praised, but to be hardened. They lived, ate, and trained together in a brutal system known as the agoge. On the surface, it was about creating warriors. But beneath that, it was about building brotherhood. Every test, every hardship, every punishment was endured together, because they understood something we've forgotten. A man alone can be strong, but a unified brotherhood can shape the world. Fast forward to the modern age, and the landscape of manhood is more confused than ever. We're told to be providers, but not dominant. To be vulnerable, but not weak. To lead, but only if we're not offending anyone. Amid this noise, many men have lost their compass. But leadership has never been about shouting the loudest. It's about walking through fire and reaching back to help the next man cross. Think of men like Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for 27 years, beaten, silenced. Yet when he emerged, he didn't seek revenge. He built. He gathered broken men, some who were once enemies, and unified them into a vision of freedom. That's leadership. That's strength. Not destruction, but construction. Not division, but direction. So ask yourself, when was the last time you pulled someone up instead of stepping over them? Real masculine leadership starts with brotherhood. And brotherhood doesn't mean comfort. It means accountability. It means you don't let your brother lie to himself. It means you challenge him when he's soft, correct him when he strays, and celebrate him when he wins. Because iron sharpens iron, but only if you're willing to strike. There's a story of Theodore Roosevelt that still echoes today. During the Spanish-American War, he led the infamous Rough Riders, an unorthodox group of cowboys, outlaws, Ivy League athletes, and Native Americans. These weren't men born of the same world. But Roosevelt didn't care about background. He cared about character. And more than anything else, he cared about loyalty to the mission and to each other. On the battlefield, that brotherhood became their weapon. And when Roosevelt charged up San Juan Hill, he didn't do it alone. He led, but he also lifted. And in doing so, he forged a legacy that still inspires leadership to this day. Too many men today are chasing status, money, validation. They forget that legacy is built on the lives you impact, not the wealth you stack. We see it in coaches who sacrifice weekends to mentor troubled teens. We see it in older brothers guiding their younger siblings away from the streets. We see it in community leaders standing between boys and the pull of gangs, saying, "There's more for you than this." But what drives these men? It's not fame. It's duty. It's a deep knowing that no man becomes great by climbing alone. That real power lies not in dominance, but in influence. And influence is born from service. That's why strong men build other men. But let's be real, brotherhood doesn't come easy. It requires trust, and trust is dangerous. Because to trust another man means you might get hurt. You might be betrayed. But the alternative is worse, because isolation is a slow death. There's a reason military veterans often say the thing they miss most isn't the action or the structure. It's the brotherhood. The unspoken bond that says, "I've got your back." In a foxhole, there's no room for ego, just survival. And that survival hinges on one thing: knowing the man beside you won't run when it gets hard. And yet, in the civilian world, we've become masters at pretending. Smiles hide depression. Bravado hides brokenness. We talk about self-made success like it's a badge of honor. But no one is truly self-made. Every man who made it had someone at some point who helped carry the load. The question is, will you be that man for someone else? Because leadership isn't about hierarchy. It's about responsibility. The strongest man in the room isn't the loudest. It's the one who's lifting others without needing credit. Now pause and reflect. What kind of legacy are you leaving? Who have you helped rise? What younger man sees you as his example? Not because of your money or your image, but because of your integrity. Leadership doesn't start on a stage. It starts in silence, in the way you treat the janitor, the way you show up for your friends, the way you speak when no one is watching, and above all, in how you build. Because when strong men build other men, they don't just raise individuals, they raise generations. There's an ancient proverb that says, "When the student is ready, the teacher will appear." But what it doesn't say is this: the teacher is often just a man who decided to stop chasing glory and start planting seeds. Too often, we wait for the perfect time, the perfect words, the perfect platform to step into leadership. But real brotherhood doesn't wait. It acts. And sometimes it looks like nothing more than sitting down and listening when someone's world is falling apart. Sometimes it's telling a man the hard truth he doesn't want to hear, because you care more about his future than his comfort. Do you remember the story of Marcus Aurelius? The philosopher, king of Rome, who led not by entitlement but by example. He wasn't obsessed with building an empire of marble and gold. He was obsessed with building men of virtue. His meditations, written not for public acclaim but as private reminders to himself, still echo today because they reveal the essence of real leadership: humility, discipline, wisdom, and above all, service to others. It's not weakness to reach down and help someone rise. It's the ultimate act of strength. In fact, it takes more courage to mentor than to mock, more power to nurture than to dominate. Because when you lead with fear, you control. But when you lead with respect, you inspire. And inspiration spreads like wildfire. Think about it. One man decides to rise, starts waking up earlier, training harder, studying deeper. He doesn't preach it, he lives it. A younger guy sees it, asks a question, gets pulled in. The next week, 2 more join them. Before long, a brotherhood is born. Not through sermons, but through standards. And the ripple effect begins. This is how cultures shift, not with slogans, but with men, solid men, who choose to lift instead of compete, who understand that masculinity isn't a prize to protect. It's a torch to pass on. You see, in a world that keeps telling young men they're toxic, broken, or dangerous, it takes real guts to be a builder. But here's the twist. Most of those dangerous young men, they're not evil. They're untethered. They're untrained. They're searching for a model of manhood that isn't built on social media bluster or fake confidence. And that's where you come in. If you're watching this, it's because something inside you knows the truth, that we need more builders, not influencers, not egomaniacs, not perfect men, just solid ones. Men who stand when it's hard, who speak when it's risky, who correct out of love, who sharpen others not to show off, but because dull blades don't cut through darkness. Look around you. Somewhere there's a boy watching his older brother spiral, a friend slipping into depression, a co-worker faking strength while dying inside. They don't need pity. They need presence. They need a man who knows how to build. Even science backs this up. Studies on mentorship and male development show that young men who have strong male role models are significantly less likely to fall into addiction, crime, or despair. Why? Because guidance gives them structure. Structure gives them identity. and identity fuels purpose. Masculinity isn't the enemy. Disconnection is. That's why we must bring back the sacred spaces where men sharpen men. The fight clubs, the barbershops, the weight rooms, the fire circles, the long walks and deep talks. These were never just rituals. They were rites of passage, designed to pass down strength, not just stories. We've traded this for isolation, for endless scrolling, for chasing dopamine instead of discipline. But it's not too late to reclaim what we've lost. It begins with you. So if you're still watching, ask yourself this: who are you building? Is there a younger man in your life who needs your time, your ear, your scars turned into stories? Are you too caught up in your own climb to remember the ladder was built for two? And don't get it twisted. This isn't about being perfect. You will fall. You will fail. But your honesty and failure may teach more than your victories ever could. Because strong men don't just build others with advice. They build with example. Your morning routine, your grit at the gym, your integrity in business, your presence at the dinner table, your words to your kids. These are your bricks. Lay them well, because one day when you're not watching, someone will be building because you built first. And in that moment, you won't need a stage or spotlight. You'll know you led well. Because leadership rooted in brotherhood doesn't echo in applause. It echoes in legacies. So here's what I'll leave you with: don't just be strong. Be the kind of strong that builds strength in others. Because the future of manhood doesn't depend on how much you lift, how much you make, or how much you conquer. It depends on how many men you raise up behind you. Strong men build other men, and that's where leadership truly begins. Outro music builds, logo appears on screen. If this message hit home, leave a comment below. Who built you, and who will you build? Don't forget to like this video, share it with a brother who needs to hear it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're building a movement here, one strong man at a time. Until next time, stay solid.